is Lucia.
This is Bree.
And this is Delulu Hour.
Welcome.
Welcome, everybody.
To our very first guest.
Yes, we've got a special guest with us today, Sydney Norvell, our longtime special friend.
Hey, everyone. I love we're all here together. May or may not have we may or may not have hit no record button. So
we're here to do it
we
again.
now are recording. We have already talked for 20 minutes, but
live.
But I'm happy because now we get to do it again and add on 20 more minutes to our hangout time.
Yeah, Sid's excited. You know, she's ready to record now.
I'm very much ready now.
So
Shook up the
Sydney,
nerves.
you were just in Ashland.
Yeah,
tell us about it.
Sure was. It was great. It was so fun. Went houseboating and had the whole 4th of July experience. Definitely, like you said on your last podcast, I love Oregon 4th of Julys and didn't really realize that until I was listening to your podcast and hearing what you were saying about it. And I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, Oregon Julys are 4th of Julys are so special. Yeah. I need to make sure to go back every time. But yeah, it was super fun. Got to go houseboating, see all the family friends and just do the whole small town 4th of July thing.
Yeah.
And then
wait, what lake were you at?
we were at Shasta.
Oh,
throwback.
That one brings back
memories. So many memories.
Okay.
I was like, whoa. I'm like, we may or may not had pulled up to the same little island.
Slaughterhouse Island.
Yeah. I was like,
what a
whoa.
name.
I don't think I've been back since
It kind of
college.
looked like it from your photos.
Yeah.
Your aerial photos.
Yeah,
with
the
drone.
drones just came in out of nowhere. I don't know whose that even was.
Everyone
at the
It
end
looked
of the
like
day.
a whole movie production of
Yes.
your vacation. It was
I know,
awesome.
and I felt kind of wild posting it on my Instagram, the drone
No,
thing.
it
I was
was
like,
so
this
cool.
is too much, but then I was also
Yeah.
I feel like I have to.
Yeah.
I was waiting for
No,
the
I thought it
trailer
was so
to drop.
cool.
Right? Yeah, I just dropped the whole video.
Yeah.
This was the Shasta
should've.
experience.
Really?
No, it was so fun. We did different themed nights too, so that was
Aw.
a blast. And yeah.
So it was your family.
Yeah, it was
and-
my family, the Ellises,
Okay.
and then Fitzpatrick's. So we all did a whole little
Cute.
So
celebration, and it was the day after 4th, so it was
Nice.
an ongoing 4th of July
It
party.
was forever.
Yeah, it really
Lasted
was this
way
year,
too long.
wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if I was on a houseboat though in Shasta, I would have wanted it to keep going.
Just keep the party going.
Yeah.
It was great. It was so hot. It was one of the days it got up to 116. That's how hot it was out there. So that
Yeah.
explains the heat exhaustion episode I
Yeah.
had the following day back home in the morning. But
God.
yeah, but we're better now. But it was so much fun.
Yeah. So sorry about the heat
Yeah.
exhaustion.
It was a brutal experience.
Sorry you had to go
If
through
anyone
that.
has any recs on how to avoid that,
Have
let
you
me
ever
know.
had that?
No, I've never had. Well,
Yeah.
I get kind of dizzy, a little nauseous.
Yeah.
I don't like.
On boats or?
Yeah, no, just in general, if it's really hot.
Okay.
If we go to Havasu, it'll be 115, 116.
Okay.
And I don't sweat very easily, so I feel like I don't lower my body heat
Yeah.
very quickly,
Right.
like most people do. Stefan will be coated in sweat in 10 seconds, and it takes me an hour.
It's
Yeah.
the one time you
Yeah,
wanna
and I'll
sweat,
start
you're
to get overheated, and then I've never thought about laying down with my legs up.
Yeah, if you
Does
get
that help?
Definitely. If you
Okay.
get to the point of feeling you're about to go down anyways, just go down.
Just go hit the ground.
It's
Lift
stop,
those
stop,
legs
drop.
up. Literally, just drop, lift the legs. I literally was going to the bathroom, going pee, and then I was like, oh my god, I couldn't even
Oh, no.
fully go. I was like, I need to run to my bed and lay down. It
Oh,
was so
really?
scary.
Oh
yeah.
my god.
Wow.
And then I had the fans on me, and then I had my it literally was so overdone. I literally was crying with my pail around me. It's I feel so ridiculous right now.
Yeah.
And I was laying down, the fans were on me, and I had my parents and my sister laying around me with my legs up for literally an hour and a half. Ice
That's scary
packs.
though.
They're patting
Yeah.
you down with the cold.
Yeah, literally, I was this looks so bad.
Oh.
So much worse than what it was. But
Yeah.
I'm so scared of. I realized that my mom was wow, this is a vulnerable spot for you, Sid. I realized this is a weak spot for you. I was me feeling
Your
out of
mom's
my body.
how can we
Yeah.
diagnose this psycho
Yeah,
response?
what's happening here?
Right,
I was
right.
asking my dad too. I was Dad, what do I need? He's you need to just lay there. I'm okay. I'm anything else? I feel not okay. He's just lay there. So you just need to
You're
calm down
I don't
and
understand.
lay
I
there.
don't just lay there.
Yeah, I need a little. I feel there's something else I need here.
Yeah.
It was a
Done.
whole episode. Really, it was
Oh my
crazy.
gosh. When I was in Arizona this past weekend and it was over 100 degrees the whole time, it solidified for me that I don't want to live anywhere where
Yes.
it gets intense heat like that.
Yeah.
It's unbearable. Even 10 o'clock at night, you step outside and you're drenched in sweat. And I'm like, this is just not enjoyable.
Right. No, I know you do realize that. I had that same realization. I was like, I feel like my whole life I've always loved the heat until, like, recently, then going back to it or experiencing that much heat where you're like, okay, this is, like, I feel like I don't even want to enjoy the outside now because it's, like, too hot, which is wild.
I would just way rather be here where there's, like, a coastal breeze.
Yeah, definitely.
Sure. Yeah.
Wait, tell me about Arizona and your car accident.
Yes,
I was, like, terrified. I immediately was like, are you okay?
I freaked out when I saw the thing on Instagram. I was like, I'm sorry, what?
I know,
I know. Just, like, cool, calm, collected. She's like, all good.
All good. We're good. Everyone's safe. I'm like, what the hell?
I'm like, can you tell me more?
Yeah, it's funny because when I posted that picture, it was like a few days after, so I had like processed it and everything was fine.
She was like, just a few bruises. I was like, oh, right. And like, anything else under there? Like, are you okay?
It's pretty bad.
Yes. So I was driving home from work and going from one freeway to another, coming up an on-ramp, and basically it was like a tight corner and traffic was dead stopped around the corner. I was going up, probably even speeding up, and didn't have enough time to stop. So basically hit this guy in front of me that was dead stopped, and I was going full speed. And everything just happened so quickly, and my airbag went off, like my car flew to the side, like his flew around me. And then like next thing I know, like people are getting out of their cars, and then like I swear, like 5 seconds later, the ambulance was there. I was like, how the hell did they get here already?
Oh my God.
So it was like really wild and really scary. And this like healthcare lady jumped out of her car and she was like, I just want to make sure you're okay. Like, I think she said she was a nurse or something. And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. And then the other guy he was behind me at this point, but he was in front of me, the guy that I hit, and he got out of his car and he was like, I'm bleeding. And he was bleeding from the back of his head. So that was just, like, such a scary scene to see. And she kind of, like, ushered him over to sit down. And then I was chatting with my mom the rest of the time. And luckily, like, I only got some bruises on my shins. And, again, like I told you guys, like, just being cautious. Like, it made me really think about, like, how I sit in the car and, like, how close I am to the steering wheel. And even just about, like, touching my phone and, like, putting my makeup on. Even though that wasn't the case in this situation, like, I'm, like, thinking about it so much now when I'm driving. I'm, like, I should just, like, it's not even worth it to, like, look at my phone or, like, redo my lipstick or whatever it is. Because, like, it was such an instant of, like, it happening. And so to just think that, like, even for a second, if you have your eyes off the road, something like that can happen. And I feel like the California freeways are just, like, wild. Like, wrecks are happening all the time. Even on my way home today, like, there was a wreck in front of me and I was, like, triggered. But yeah, this is like what I'm being delusional about this week because in retrospect, like, yes, it was a scary situation, but thank God, like, everybody's okay. I ended up going to the tow lot the next day to grab the stuff out of my car because my car was totaled. So I had to collect all my things, and I saw the guy that I hit, and he was, like, walking around and totally okay because I was really freaked out that I killed him, and I was, like, down spiraling about that and, like, talking to my mom on the phone constantly about it. I was like, what if I killed him? What if I killed him? And she's like, he's gonna be okay. She's like, we can call the police. We can find out. And so I felt like it was just, like, such random, like, luck timing that I saw him there because it was a Wednesday, like, in the middle of the day. Like, it was just, like, really random that I saw him there at that time. Like, what are the chances? So I'm glad that I got to see, like, he's okay, like, got to see him walking around, totally fine, like, nobody was hurt, everybody's okay. And then, like, I ended up getting, like, a nice rental car that I have, like, for the next month while I figure out getting a new car, and I got way more money back for my car than I was expecting, which is great, and I was even already looking to get a new car anyways, so everything's kind of just working out the way it's supposed to, and I think just having that delusional mindset that everything's working for me and in my favor. And, like, yes, it was a scary situation, but in the end, like, everything worked out pretty great. And like, I'm going to get a new whip.
loving it.
Yeah, so that's me. And then it was just also funny timing because the bachelorette that I had in Arizona, I had decided to drive there instead of get a flight because, I don't know, I just wanted to take a little road trip. Like, it's like 5 hours, so I was like, it's not really that bad. So it was just, like, funny timing because, like, after going through this crash, everybody was like, are you okay to, like, be driving out on the roads? Like, I'll be fine.
Did you have to drive back? Mm-hmm. So that was on your way out?
No, that was, like, on last Tuesday, just, like, driving home from work. And then on Friday is when I drove out to Arizona.
They're like, are you good?
Yeah. Hopefully. But, yeah, everything was fine, and it was kind of, like, I don't know, therapeutic to, like, get back on the road and just be like, I'm okay, like, we're good. And
it just shakes up your body so much. So it's like you almost have to kind of, like, get back out there and, like, throw yourself into it again because it is, like, terrifying. Having been 100%. In a few. It's, like, so scary. Like, it is hard to, like, trust yourself almost again, too, or you're just, like, so on alert. But then it also makes you realize how unalert you have been at times because you're like, whoa, like, so much can happen.
Yeah, because I feel like, I don't know, there's those times where you kind of black out and you're like, whoa, like,
how'd I get here?
Yeah,
totally.
I saw this TikTok, actually, speaking of, it was, like, this gay guy, and he was singing Please, Please, Please by Sabrina Carpenter, like, really loudly in his car, and he was, like, drinking his iced coffee, and the caption was, like, when you almost hit somebody, and then 15 seconds later... It's so fucking funny.
No, literally.
I was like, that is so me.
He's just jamming out. He's, like, living life.
Please, please.
And then you're like, whoa. No, it's crazy. It's like you don't realize how, like we're in, I don't know, you just don't think of how dangerous vehicles can be because it's such a normal thing to get in, and you get so used, like, we're all so used to it.
You get, like, comfortable, and then you think that you're never gonna
you feel invincible, and
you know, like, grab your phone, do makeup on the car, and then you drive by the wrecks all the time.
That one for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
No, it's, like, so scary, and, like, life, like, it's crazy, like, the accidents happen so quick, but then, like, mentally, it feels like so many things flush through your brain, within those seconds, but it feels like forever. I don't know. It's wild. I feel like the accidents I've gotten into, I thought of my family. I thought of, like, what to do. I was, like, talking myself through, like, how to hit the, like, tap the brakes instead of hit the brakes.
Well, I kind of want you to tell the accident story.
Yeah, I do too. Because I remember it was kind of a wild one.
Yeah.
It was terrifying. Yeah, it was when I was, like, up at Oregon State with you guys, and we were, like, all living in, and that was so scary. I actually had two, I think. One going up and one going down, not in the same trip, but, like, throughout my time up there. Mm-hmm. One going up, I was driving up, from Ashland, Oregon, so it's, like, 3.5 hour drive, and I'm going, both ironically in the same spot, just, like, me going up one time and then me going down one time. One was before, like, a Monday night dinner, so I literally showed up to the dinner, I think, and I was like, I'm okay, so frazzled, but the back end of a truck fell off, so, like, of almost like the truck that you used to have in college, the white one, the back, like, tail end flew off, they didn't even know, and it was so close, like, one of those things where I'm like, count my blessings, if I wasn't looking, if the back of the truck had to come up, like, if it had flown up into my windshield, like, I would be done for sure. Like, that's so heavy and, like, such a big piece of equipment, like, that would have just taken it out. But it lodged in, like, my front vent somehow, and it made my car, like, go crazy, and I had to pull over to the side and, like, literally unlodged out. The truck just kept going. Wow. I don't even think it knew it flew off.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't even know how that happens, like, how it had to have been so loose that it just, like, flew up and out, and it lodged in there. But then the scarier one, I guess, would be when I was driving home from Oregon State, and I was coming down, like, the pass, and I hydroplaned onto, like, a popped tire from a truck that you see, like, now I see them everywhere, always just on the side of the road, you know? Like,
and
it's kind of crazy, they're just out there.
Yeah.
And so I it was so rainy, and I was, like, definitely, like, taking it easy, but I still hydroplaned, and my left tire, like, caught, like, the banana-looking tire, and I just, like, 360'd twice around it, and then slammed into the median.
So crazy.
It was so crazy.
Was
and
it
then
the passenger side that slammed in, or the
my side, driver's side. So I remember, like, it all happening so fast, but I just remember, like, being like, okay, tap the brakes, like, hold, like, I literally was like, I could just smash in the median and, like, not come out. And I remember, like, hitting it, and it, like, almost, like, bumper carring off, and then it was so wild, like, I basically was driving my grandpa's car because he had gifted it to me and passed
passed
away.
I forgot about
this is a whole
part.
spiritual situation.
I think about it all the time.
I do too.
Yeah, it's crazy. It was definitely one of those moments where I was like, I feel like
someone was with you.
Someone was with me. Like, so I was talking to my mom on the drive down before it happened, and my phone just like randomly turned off. Like, I had full service. I had never even seen what had come up on my phone, and I forget what it was, but I remember it being so unusual. It was something about like how the call couldn't be it was disconnected, but I had full bars, so nothing was wrong with the phone, but it just turned off, and I was like, that's weird.
Yeah.
And then seconds later, like, this whole thing happens where I'm like in the median bumping off, and then I'm in the middle of this freeway, like I-5 coming down, and I'm looking up and all these cars are coming down, and it's like people are going like 65, it's raining, so terrifying. And so yeah, I'm basically like in there just halted, like not knowing what to do. My car wouldn't turn on. I'm like, these people are just gonna like slam into me, like they're all coming down in the rain too.
Scary.
So scary.
Wow.
Can't get my phone to turn on because I was wanting to like call my mom and be like, or dad, and just be like,
What do I do?
What do I do?
Yeah,
And so I'm trying to get it turned on, and as I'm sitting there, the other car up there, I watch them do it. They do the same thing I did onto the banana peel, and they like flip, and their car is basically like totaled.
God.
And I'm like witnessing it. And then somehow in that moment, like before all the cars came down, I was able to like turn on my car, and everything just like turned on and worked, and somehow walked away from it fine. And my car ended up being like a few scrapes, like nothing crazy.
Wow.
It was so wild, but also there was like, for everything just to turn off like that, it was just bizarre. And I was driving my grandpa's car, and I remember there was like a song that had played too that was like one that reminded me of him, and I don't know, it was just a moment where I was like, I feel like he was with me, like in that moment, like protecting me.
Yeah.
It was weird, something about it.
I know, I get goosebumps when you tell that story.
I have them right now too. I'm like, oh, because it's like one of those feelings you can just feel. And I remember that whole drive back after that, I just drove in silence. It was like another like 2 hours I had.
Processing.
Yeah,
like,
it's crazy. It's like it's so much goes on in your mind around it. I don't know. It's wild.
Yeah, no, seriously.
Yeah, and to watch the car do the same thing, I'm like, and then not make it. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
It's so heavy.
It definitely is like, it's like traumatic.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Like I feel a lot better now, but like the first couple of days I was just like so shaken up. I like didn't even want to like talk to anybody, and I think that's why I just like didn't really talk to anybody about it. And then just a few days later, I'm like, I'm just gonna post it on Instagram.
I'm like, are you okay? You're like, well, good.
No big deal.
No big deal. Like, fine.
We're fine.
But it is traumatic. It's weird how it, like, you have to kind of unwind it, and then you think of, like, then now whenever I see accidents, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, that's such a serious thing. Like, I feel like before I would just drive by them and be like, oh,
right.
Right. Yeah, and now it's like, oh my god, like, I hope someone's okay, or, like, what could have happened, you know? It's just a whole terrifying thing.
100%.
Yeah. Cars are scary.
100%.
100%.
Sid, what are you being delusional about?
Oh, well, should you share yours? I want to hear yours. Are you gonna wait?
You need to go first.
Yeah, I just don't know if I have one. Let me think.
You can take your time.
I feel like, we've just been talking about, like, my career a lot, but I've been, like, focusing a lot on stuff with the podcast because it's been fun for me, and I, like, was just kind of delulu one day, and I made, like, some hats and, like, some little, like, cute merch, so, I don't know, I just feel like that's been kind of fun for me lately to, like, see how that goes and, like, just be delusional and put something together when that's really not my thing. Like, I don't make things like that, so I was just,
you
like,
did such a good job.
Yeah, and it turned out really good, and I just, it was kind of fun, like, random thing that I just decided to do, and it was so fun, and it's, like, just fun to have now.
No,
so,
I love that. I feel like you've been so, like, in your creative era and, like, really getting into this, which makes me so happy, because I was, like, obviously, like, really wanting you to enjoy doing this with me, so it makes me really happy to see that you're getting into
so
it.
Fun.
I was so eager to see everything. I was, like, driving down, and I was, like, with Brie, and I was like, oh my god, can I just look at it right now? Can I
like,
have
no.
a peek? And you're like, no.
Wait.
And then we're sitting in the kitchen, and the box is, like, sitting there. I'm like,
just
can I
having
just take a little
conversation.
look? I'm like, I really want to see.
Like, just wait, she'll be here
I
in a
was, like,
second.
so excited to check it out. The notebooks are so cute, too. I think that's, like, you can, like, drink your coffee and then journal in your notebook, you know?
I know, they're super cute. I'm like, should I?
We're gonna have things for sale in our storefront
if
you want merch as well.
They'll be linked linked in our bios on our link tree, so you can buy one if you want the hats, the coffee. Yay. We have like little. I don't like there's an ad.
Nice.
Imagine if the ad was like our merch. That'd have been great.
Just pop. You're like, and we're gonna have merch.
And yeah, it's like oops, just perfect timing.
Here's our storefront.
Yeah, and then we have notebooks, and they're pretty cute. So, and we have little stickers. So
yay,
yeah. Stickers are so cute.
Anyways, back to Sydney, who doesn't like the spotlight on her.
Always like hiding away.
Yeah, you're like, no, you first. I'm like, no, you go.
Okay, delusional moment. I guess to speak on like why I'm here with the YGIG, it's totally like delusional of myself. I like started a clothing brand, apparel brand that's tailored towards women's athletics and scholarships to bring more awareness and unity for women that are in sports. Love women in sports. But I guess I mean, I'm not a business major. I don't know technology whatsoever. Like, I think both you guys and anyone that knows me is like, okay, like, Sid does not know how to like work any sort of social media.
We're right there with you. It's okay.
Whatsoever.
Yeah. Like, that has been having some technical difficulties ourselves.
It's a learning experience. You only grow from those things, you know?
Exactly.
We're in our growth era.
Yeah.
It's like we didn't learn it before, so we can learn it now and just keep blossoming.
Absolutely.
But yeah, like got my teaching education. Like I have so many licenses, real estate, teaching. Like I don't know, but never have done anything in business whatsoever. So definitely a delusional moment of thinking that I could like start my own company and run it myself and somehow like maneuver getting the clothing, get it embroidered, like figuring out how to get all these business licensures and LLCs and talking to a lawyer to get it trademarked. Like, I don't even, like, I think I blacked it all out. I don't even know how I did it still.
Well, tell us, like, a little bit of the background, like, behind, like, your ideas, like, how it even came into your head.
Yeah.
All of it.
I think I've always wanted to do something, like, I guess, like, towards benefiting others, and so I think growing up I always thought that would be teaching, like especially with the youth. Like I loved helping them out, and then hand in hand with that being able to coach and teach was always kind of a passion of mine. And then right after getting my teaching license, I did not do that. So I was like, that went to good use.
Just kidding.
I think we need to figure something else out. But like definitely loved it at the moment being, but realized like my passion was more like in coaching and being more involved in the sports. And I think teaching is what I thought would be the way to get there, even though you can just coach while doing other things as well. So I guess that's kind of like where I first started the love of like helping others and doing something bigger than myself. Like I really enjoy that. But then growing up too, I have also always been someone that like kind of likes to go against the grain of things. Hence like starting a women's wrestling team. Like that was something that was totally taboo at the time and still is, but it's definitely growing.
So
but
badass.
Thanks, man. I remember like going to the sorority and being like, oh my god, no one's gonna want me here. Like,
you're like, they're gonna
so where'd you transfer from? I'm like, and what'd you do? I'm like, I wrestled in college. And I'm like, every time whoever I was talking to was like, oh, tell me about that. And I'm like,
oh wow,
oh my gosh, tell me everything. So I'm like, okay, well here we go.
Yeah. I would have been like, if I was the one who spoke to you in the I would have been like, that's badass.
I know.
Like, you need to tell me more about that.
I appreciate that. Yeah, everyone I didn't think know how to take it. They're like, what it like that's a thing.
Well, I did like softball growing up, so I feel the whole like, oh, it's like this
against
whole
the
like
grain.
Against the grain. It's not a normal girl sport or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just like it's
like,
funny.
Totally.
So I vibe with it.
You feel it on the other end too. Yeah, it's wild. So I think that was something like after doing gymnastics my whole life, I was kind of like looking for a sport because I wanted to start making friends in school because I was just like going to, gymnastics outside of school wasn't a school sport for me. So I was like, okay, I think I need like school friends and I want to try other things. So it's like, what can I do? And gymnastics was like super disciplined. And so I was kind of like trying every sport I could to figure out like what just like, I don't know, just gave me what I wanted and what I'd experienced in gymnastics. And I like walked by and a lot of my guy friends had wrestled. I didn't even quite know that like it was a thing or what the sport was. And I walked by the wrestling room like a few times and was like, that looks really cool. Like I saw the windows were shut. Like it was so
what
foggy.
age was this at?
This was my junior year in high school.
Okay.
So I'd already done a whole year of trying out I did swim team. I did
all the sports.
I did everything. Swim I was not a fan of. Like literally I was like
swimming.
Swimming. I kept asking like I would try to get out of of it. So I'd be swimming and I'm like, I have to go to the bathroom. And they're like, you can just go in the water. And I was like, oh my God.
Wait, what?
Yeah, that's a thing, I guess. I don't know. Everyone peed in the water. But
what?
Yeah, so you can't get away from practice. You like have to stay in. I found that out the hard way.
That's a shock.
Yeah,
honestly.
So funny and
so I was like, I need a different winter sport. So
that's wild.
I know, isn't that a fun fact?
Yeah. Like when you're in competition,
maybe it was just my high school.
Like what? You just go.
That's crazy. Like it's chlorinated. I don't know. I was like, okay.
Wow.
Thought I could get out of practice, but
actually I have to poop.
Yeah. I'm like, actually, it's not that one. I gotta do the other. They're like, oh, you can do that in the pool too. Could you imagine? I'm like, okay.
Just fling it out.
Yeah, I'm like, split it in the gutter, you're fine.
Oh my God, that's wild.
But, so I was like, okay, I need to switch this sport up because I wasn't really feeling it. So yeah, that's when I just kind of like started like brainstorming, looking at other ones, and then I walked by the wrestling room and was like totally intrigued. Like, I don't know what it was, but I think it was just something about like the discipline in it, and like it just looks super badass. Like doors shut, like couldn't even see in because it was so sweaty. I don't know why that was so drawn to me, but I was like, okay, like I want to make this happen. And so I talked to the wrestling coach and I asked him, I was like, hey, like, do you have any girls on the team? Like, I'd love to do this. And then he was like, we don't. And he was like, and it was very, like, cut and dry. Like, no, we don't. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, he's like, why are you asking? You're like, why are you being weird about me asking?
Yeah, I'm like, why is this a problem? And he was like, no, it's, like, only, like, a male sport right now. Like, there's not any, like, there's no sanctioned female, like, leagues for wrestling or anything. And I was like, okay. So I kind of, like, spun on it a little bit. And then I came back to him and I was like, after a couple days, I was like, so I want to join.
Nice.
I'm not taking no for an answer.
Yeah, like I actually want to join this.
Yeah.
And he brought up that he had to talk to the athletic director. It was like a whole process. My parents had to go check in with the athletic director. It was like a whole thing to get a girl on the team.
Wow.
And then I remember him saying, he's like, just so you know, like, when you join, like, you'll be treated just like the guys. And I was like, okay, like, I wouldn't want it any other way. Like, that's why I'm joining. So finally got to join. I remember, like, took a little bit to, like, prove myself. And then once I did, it's, like, it was cool to see the camaraderie amongst, like, the men and women and how much then they ended up, like, respecting the girls on the team.
How did the guys react to you at first, like, being on the team?
They were, like, it was interesting. Yeah, it was, like, definitely.
Were they like, what the fuck?
Yeah, like, what is she doing
I don't want to
here?
beat up a girl.
No, exactly. Yeah, literally. They're like, oh, I don't want to have to beat up a girl. Like, what's my mom going to say? I don't know.
Yeah.
And so, they definitely, like, I had some really good guy friends on the team that were pretty supportive, but also knew, like, they probably were questioning, like, I don't know, just, like, can she do it? Or, like, how long will she last? I think it was definitely, like, a competitive thing. Like, girl coming in, what's she going to do? Like, I don't know.
Right.
It was just such an unknown. And I'm sure some also had their reservations more than I knew. They were probably like, okay, especially the ones that I had to wrestle. They're like, oh, shoot. Like, yeah. But for the most part, like, a lot of my peers were, like, awesome, especially because I felt like I adapted really quick. And sure enough, like, we were, like, all homies, so that was awesome.
And then you probably started, like, kicking some
that
of
was
their
fun.
asses.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, shit. Better shut my mouth.
And that's what, like, drove me, is I was like, I want to prove myself. And I think, especially, like, after I started, there was, like, I think there was, like, 5 other girls that ended up coming in. Since then, there's been a full women's program. So it just takes one person to, like, go against the grain to do something.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard to find that in schools. Like, even to this day, so many schools don't have that in a lot of male-dominated sports. And so, yeah, I just remember, like, wanting to do better. And then now looking back, like, I definitely wanted to join the sport because of the discipline of it. But I think also more so now looking back, I wanted to join the sport to, like, separate myself and to do something that would, you know, like, support women and to also kind of go against the grain and get other people to, like, join the sport that's male dominated.
Right.
And so looking back, I think that was also more of my drive, was just to, like, prove a point that, like, we can do this too.
Yeah.
And that carried me, like, throughout all of wrestling. Like, I ended up wrestling on the varsity boys lineup, like, and beating out guys in practice. And it was so cool to see the turnaround. Like, all of a sudden, the coach that was, like, telling me, like, okay, like, just so you know, I'm going to treat you like the boys. All of a sudden, he's the one now using the girls against the guys. He's like, don't let the girls beat you, as we're, like, running around, or, like, oh, Sydney's doing more push-ups. Like, it was so cool to see, like, the change.
Awesome.
So
and now
cool.
he's forever a women's coach. Like, he loves coaching girls.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah,
you changed
so
his
many
life.
lives.
It
Yeah.
was super cool to see. So I was like, yeah, it was neat to see just, like, the change in dynamic and also just, like, perspective on what a male-dominated sport is, you know? So doing that, like, was able to, you know, complete that all through high school, and then got lucky to go to college for it too. Did a year in college and then kind of burnt out. I think I was like looking into my academics, and I just kind of burnt out on wrestling, but always had the idea of coaching in my mind. It was definitely like a hard decision to make, but one I felt was necessary at the time.
Yeah.
And so in doing that, yeah, kind of went to Oregon State, did that whole thing, and then found coaching. It took a while to like separate myself and kind of like get back into the swing of it, you know, after years of doing it.
Right.
And so found coaching, and then realized I wanted to start women's teams at Oregon State. There was no women's team at the local high school I was doing my teaching credentials at. So I was like, okay, like, can I start this? Went through the same process, but on the other side. So it was so wild. Like,
Yeah.
So cool.
had to go to the athletic director, had to go to the coach, like, had to go recruit girls from the school. It was like a whole thing, but it was more of like, instead of just wanting to have a girls team, it was like, I want to like prove that this can be a sport. I don't know,
Right.
just that part was like
Yeah.
so energizing for me for some
100%,
reason.
yeah.
And so in that's like started kind of like sparking my whole idea of just being like in just passion of loving like women's sports and loving watching these girls like go against the grain and seeing their confidence build too. It's like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, this is awesome. Like their confidence are building, like you see how empowered they get, and then they win their first like meet or match. It's just, I don't know, it's really cool to see. And then for whatever reason, like I get so excited by it too, because you're like, oh my gosh, like this is so cool.
Yeah.
So
You're
that-
empowering young women, which is
yeah.
amazing.
It's so cool to see, like, I don't know, it's so, yeah, it's really neat to watch their growth in it, and just like the smile they get on their faces. Like, it obviously takes a while once you're like, you have to lose to win, you know, so you like lose a few, and then all of a sudden you see them win, and you're like, it's like the best thing that ever happened, and you see that like confidence, and their confidence around school and campus, like
Yeah.
all of it, like not just in the sport, you know.
And like in that age where like most women are sort of putting each other down even.
Yeah.
And it's
Definitely.
hard to be empowered and confident like
Yeah.
at that age. So you're doing like so much more than just like in the sport building their
Yeah.
confidence. Like
That's
like
such
you
a
said,
good
they
point.
walk around with an air of confidence, like literally because
Yeah.
of the opportunity you've given them. So that's super
Aw.
cool.
Yeah.
That's such a good
100%.
point, though. It is during like a crucial time in your life where you're like
Yeah.
finding yourself, and you're trying to like figure out friend dynamics out, and like popular or
Yeah.
not. I don't know. There's so many things in high school that now is so pointless, but at
Yeah.
the time you're
Yeah.
like, the world is like, it feels so small, and like I don't know, everyone's
Well,
just
and
figuring
just to
themselves
have
out.
like a female role model to look up to. Like if I had you as a female
Oh,
role model, I would be
Luge.
like, I can do anything.
Yeah,
got
and
this. Throw
I'm
me
so
in.
confident in myself.
Oh, that's so sweet, Luge. Thank you. It was cool, and like it's wild being on the other side, because wrestling is still like growing. Right now it's the fastest growing women's sport, which is super neat to see from the
Oh,
time
that's
I did
really
it, when I
cool.
was like having to wrestle guys to just wrestle. And now it's like going to these meets, and now starting the Oceanside program. There's like so many girls, and it's like huge. So I'm like seeing like such a niche market, and like just women stepping into sports. I mean, you see it all over too,
Yeah.
with like basketball and gymnastics and all the sports. Like I feel like
Mm-hmm.
there's such a highlight on it.
For sure.
And it's wild, like nowadays too, like there's not even women coaches around for wrestling. I'm like the only one down here in the county,
so
and it's weird to
wild.
like, I don't feel it, and then all of a sudden I'll look around and like, oh,
I'm the
I'm
only,
the only girl here, like
Yeah.
what the
coaching
heck?
girls. I don't
Super
get it.
wild. So there's not even a lot of like female coaches, so it's
That's
definitely
crazy.
growing.
Right.
But yeah, I guess to go into like how that's kind of cultivated the YGIG is, recently I've been hearing like you got it girl over, like as I'm coaching down here, it's like the male coaches don't really know what to say to like the other girls, but they're trying to like be supportive, you know. And they're like, okay, how do I like tell her like she got it or whatever, and like all the girls too with each other, like they don't know their names, but they know they're both like powerhouses in this sport that's so like niche and like a
Yeah.
male dominant sport. So it's kind of like this, I don't know, it's just this thing I've been hearing all over, this tagline. It's like, you got it girl. I hear the girls saying it to each other, the coaches like yelling it, and I was like, oh my god, that is like such a like good tagline, like that's great. And I was saying it all the time too, and then going back kind of recalling like when I wrestled, I would tell myself that like all the time too. I'd always like kind of like say that to myself or say that to my peers. Like it was just kind of a tagline people would use, I guess, to support and encourage one another. So I was like, that would be like such a good thing to trademark. I need to see if it's trademarked. So I immediately like went online and looked it up, and it was like not taken. I was like, I gotta get on that. I don't even know what I'm gonna
It's a
do what they
sign.
get, but like I gotta have it. Yeah. So then I went on there, saw that, and I was like, okay. And like kind of from there, it just immediately like snowballed. Like I was like, okay, like what can I do? And I started brainstorming, and it all hit me like really fast, which was kind of wild. I think I always knew I wanted to do something, but to help others and, I don't know, like own my own business and just to be some sort of person that can like help others grow and achieve. And so, yeah, from there it just snowballed, and I was like, okay, like what about apparel? Like what could I do? Like I need something that has like a cause behind it, not just a slogan. So it's like, okay, after coaching in college as well, at a college level, I've noticed like the lack of scholarships for women's sports, and especially like wrestling, and honestly every women's sport, there's a lack of scholarships in comparison to men's, and also like a lack of views. Like people don't really look at women's sports that much, which is hence why there's a lack in scholarships. So it's like, what can you do to like provide that, you know? And a lot of girls going to college, like sports is their golden ticket to get there. Like they look at college education, they're like, I can't get this without a scholarship, so like I'm gonna use my sport to be that, you know? And so I saw that a lot too at the college level with athletes, and then also a lot of athletes that were in college and wrestling or doing whatever sport they were doing, but they still had like lack of funding in other areas because like, yeah, they might have a scholarship, but it's not that big. The school can't give out that much. And so they're still struggling along the way. And sports is like a full-time job in college too.
Yeah.
So that was a big aspect of kind of seeing that side of things at a college level. But then at a high school level, also seeing these girls that, you know, like knowing college sports is a golden ticket, like sports is a golden ticket to get to college, seeing their capabilities and watching these girls that are like so capable, like having had coached at a college level and seeing what that takes and like what that talent is. A lot of it's like grit and just like mental discipline, you know?
Right.
You can be an average athlete, but if you have the grit and the mental discipline to do better, like you can grow so much. And if you get to college, and a lot of college scouts and recruits look for that. So I started seeing that too. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's all these talented like young women, but there's like some of them just don't have the financial backing to be able to like go get seen or to, you know, get the proper apparel and clothing that they need to be able to pursue their sport, to get to college, or to go to certain camps that they can get seen at, or just to improve and get better. So there was such a gap in that too. And I'm like, but this person like would love to go to college, would love to play their sport in college, but there's like not that path that they can take to get there, which is so unfortunate. And so many athletes go unseen because of that. So I was like, okay, like what can I do here? And so that kind of came into like the whole 15% of each purchase going towards a women's athletic or scholarship. So it'll go towards, you know, a girl going to school in college that's playing a sport, or also just like a girl that's in high school, like needing to, that's gone against the grain in her sport and has this backing, but like doesn't have the backing and needs to like be seen in some way or go to a camp or get proper apparel. Like there'll be many scholarships that are out there for these athletes and individuals, and so hopefully that'll just like take them where they need to go. That's kind of the idea of it. And then of course like the name with it too, that You Got It Girl, it's like not only like that's just such a bonus of having like the 15% go towards sports and athletics, but also the whole tagline of You Got It Girl is so empowering in itself. So I'm hoping that girls wearing that can almost be like their little secret with each other, like YGIG is like, hey, like you can even say like YGIG, like you got it, girl, and like it's your own little like empowering slogan within each other that like guys don't need to know.
No, you're starting like a whole movement.
I feel like it'd be like cool to have. I don't know, like it's already such a, I noticed that when people were saying it amongst each other, it's such a tagline that is kind of just like a hidden tagline people say to each other, and it's empowering, and I would see the empowerment girls would get from saying it and also receiving it. So it's like if girls can wear that knowing they're like representing something and knowing others are, it's kind of like a whole unity that you can bring within each other. So that was kind of the idea of it.
For like the people who have maybe like an idea like you had, can you talk about how you started like selling some, like the booths you did, the first experience to now, just so people can like get the full picture of how they can maybe take their idea to where you are now?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like for one, you just have to do it. Like it's so easy to get in your head about everything, and eventually if you believe in something bigger than yourself, you have to trust that, and if you feel that, like you just have to go with it. And it's hard, like you have to like kind of just, I don't know, turn a blind eye to anyone else and be like, I'm going to do this, whether it fails or succeeds, like, I'm okay with it because I need to know I lived my life pursuing what I needed to pursue and, like, almost like that calling that you just have. So, for one, I would say just do it. Like, you got to get out there and let things come to you and just, like, start to, like, kind of think about it every day. And then also, like, not get discouraged, you know, like, not get discouraged by your background. Like, I had nothing to do with sales or, like, business at all. So it's, like, you also kind of have to, like, push yourself, too, to be like, okay, like, I'm not just, like, anyone's capable of anything. Like, just because you got a college degree in one thing or you didn't go to college doesn't mean you're not capable of learning new things. So, like, doing your research and not getting discouraged by yourself, you know.
Yeah,
you have
not
to be your
gaslighting yourself that you're not good enough to start a company.
Add in a little delusional moments for
You're
yourself and
100%.
say you can do it,
launch
you know?
that damn business.
Yeah, exactly. Like, at the moment, no one else has the idea, so you do, so do something with it, you know?
Absolutely.
Like, gotta add the Delulu in there. Like, that's the whole way we all work, you know?
Yeah.
A lot of business people, you have to kind of be a little delusional.
You have to fake it till you make it,
it's
for sure.
so true, just walk with confidence, you know?
Yeah, you just have to believe, if you truly believe in something and it seems like this is something that's been an idea for your entire life, like a literal, like, value you've lived out, so of course you're gonna believe that so true and like so delusionally that you're of course gonna make something of it. So I think when we learned about you doing all this, we were like, you're gonna make something of this, like, no doubt in our minds. So
Same with you guys, though,
like,
too. Look at you.
Seriously, like, so proud of you, Sid. Like, even just hearing the story, it's like, it's so empowering, and it, like, makes me so happy that you're doing this, and I can definitely see it going far.
Oh, that makes my heart so warm. I mean, same with you guys. We're all in the same boat. Like, you just have to, like, you literally just have to put yourself out there and just, like, let it ride and not worry about what people say or honestly, what your own mind thinks. Because at the end of the day, it's, like, really our own selves that are doubting.
You're, like, your own worst enemy.
It's not even other people. Like, it's our own selves that are our worst critics.
Yeah,
so
literally. I feel like we were talking about this with, like, posting stuff on social media, and we're like, it's so cringe and embarrassing, but you kind of just have to, like, get over it and just, like, put yourself out there and not even worry about it. Because, you're starting something that you have passion behind, and if anybody judges that, then that's not
their problem.
They're not your person, they're not in your circle, they're not your friend.
Exactly.
And people that are like 100% behind you.
And even, like, if not in your circle or your friend, if they're, like, just feeling negative about that, it's because they don't feel confident in their own ideas, or that they could be what you are doing, and it's intimidating, and people don't like they want to keep people down that they think are doing things they wish they could be doing.
That's why you just have to use as fuel instead of,
that's what I'm saying. It's like that person just needs to, like,
are my motivators.
Believe in themselves, right? So,
No, it's so true. I mean, that's, like, I think what even got me through wrestling was, like, literally, like, I had so many people doubt me. I had so many guys that when I wrestled me, I had to convince them. I'm like, dude, please, like, really? Like, I would go up to them and be like, come on now. Like, really? Like, so many times. I had, like, you know, at the beginning, like, family questioned, like, is this okay? Like, they were so supportive in the end, but especially, like, the grandparents and stuff that were like, this is not traditional. You know? They're like, what is happening? It was funny to see, like, the grandparents turn a full spin once it started doing well.
They're out
like,
there,
oh, you go, honey! Yeah, exactly.
Like your biggest fans.
Literally. So it's so wild. Like, people come around, but it's like you got to use that almost as fuel. Like, people that doubt you or that say anything, it's like, okay, like, I'm just going to use that to prove myself. And I think that is, like, such a big thing too.
Absolutely.
Like, that's the way you, like, also grow yourself. And I mean, you could choose to take the route of using it to fuel you, or you could choose the route to, you know, have it, like, break you down. So it's like, you have two paths. Why not take the one that's going to at least, like, get you somewhere, you know?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I think that's definitely a good way to look at things, and that is something that's helped me just be like, okay, like, just do it, get it out there, just start somewhere. So, like, anything you can start with for those that are, like, looking to grow a business or do something, or you've had an idea in your mind, anything, like, just look up, like, first step, like, whatever comes to your mind, go with it. First thing that came to my mind was, like, the saying, you got a girl, and then I literally just, like, the first font I found, that's what the font is. I literally got this app that was, like, so fonts, too. And I literally just typed out, you got a girl, YGIG, and I, like, literally scrolled through, and I just picked, like, literally a little font, and then picked another one, and I was like, oh, I like it, okay. I was like, that's the one.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah, we're good. And then I was like, trademark, okay, let's go.
Show your
oh, yeah,
your
let's see if you can
side.
see it. It's kind of hard in some lighting, but it's, like, definitely, like,
it's super cute.
Yeah, it's, like, dainty. So, like, the idea is that it's, like, empowering in the words, but also, like, dainty and like
subtle.
Femininity and subtle.
Yeah.
So it's like anyone can wear it. Yeah, all at once. That's what we are, you know? Like we can be fierce and we are women. We are women. We are fierce and we're soft. Yes. We're pretty and we're fierce. Like, so that's like you get a little shimmer, like they all have like little shimmers on them, like kind of with the like wording of it. And
I wear mine like every day, I swear.
It's so comfy. I like, oh, that makes me so happy. Yeah, they're like, I don't know, I like the way it turned out, but the whole idea was definitely to have it be like empowering in the words and then like dainty in the font and in the look of it. Except for now, I just got a new like thing of clothing. So once I get it, I'll give you guys some.
Okay.
But I got like 3 new kinds, and they're gonna be like a little more like bright and fun. So we'll see, like kind of like retro. So we'll see how that works.
Where can people find you?
Yes.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at YGIG Company, and then also like www.ygigcompany.com online on the internet.
Yeah.
But
are you doing any events coming up in person in San Diego County for anyone who's local?
Yeah, come on by. So I was gonna say too, on the like events note and discouragement, like if you're looking to start your own company or business, like never get discouraged. Like the first event I did, I learned so much. I didn't sell a thing. I had lots of feedback, great feedback, and also feedback to learn from. Like I was like, okay, like I need certain sizing, and also I probably shouldn't be at this like 110-degree event if I'm selling sweatshirts. So that's when I decided to get hats.
You're like, fair enough.
Yeah, like I've learned. So also take like something that you think might be discouraging, you know, like I could walk away from that and be like, I didn't sell anything, like I'm done. Yeah. But instead, like taking the advice that you got and looking at that as like a beautiful thing, like, okay, I wouldn't have gotten hats, which now I've like almost sold out on.
Right.
If I hadn't been at that event. And now I'm knowing kind of like more events to look into and maybe more tailored markets to look into. So it's like you just learn as you go and you can't get discouraged and just like keep pushing through, you know, and use it as motivation. Like I want to look back and be like, my first event didn't sell a thing, but be able to like look forward and be like, but look, here I am now, you know? So there's
exactly. It doesn't have to
cool.
be this negative thing. It's just an experience you had that led you to selling hats, and now selling out of hats. Like that was a beautiful experience.
Yeah. Totally. And the woman next to me was awesome. She's so great. She had a booth and she walked me through everything. She's like, I've been here for years doing this. And she was like, she had a candy thing. Hers, like, she did great. Oh, yeah.
All like, honey, I've been doing this for years. Trust me, like, you want to get hats.
Yeah, literally, trust me, this is what you need. The kids loved her booth. Like, I was just watching them go up to her booth. I'm like, hey, I'm over here. They're like, the candy, though's over there. I'm like, yeah. So learned a lot from that. Learned, like, need to get stickers, all the things. But now I've kind of, like, been able to find more of a niche in events that I'm looking into. I've been going to markets, so like the La Jolla Open Air Market. I'm going to be there this week too on Sunday. Nice. That'll be fun. And then I have done like a Taekwondo. That one was really successful. It was an opening for a girls like Taekwondo studio, which was super great. Cool. Yeah, they're awesome. Like a whole mixed martial arts studio. They're amazing. That went really well. So now we have another event coming up in August. That'll be like our busiest month. I'm super excited. I have that. And then I also have, I forget the name of like the event exactly, but I'll list it later. The Taekwondo event. And then there's, let's see, August is definitely like the busiest month. So I'm really excited, but that's why I had to get like more things. So it's kind of wild. I'm like, whoa, things are happening. So but there's a 3-day wrestling tournament, which I'm super excited about. There's like 3,000 wrestlers, down in San Diego. I think it's like on one of the ships down there.
Wow. Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's called like D-Day something. I don't know, but it's a big wrestling event. I'll find the name of that too. Okay, it's in my calendar, cool. But I don't want to go grab the phone. But yeah, that'll be really cool. It's like a 3-day wrestling tournament. I'm super excited because I'll feel more my element. Like I feel like I did well at the mixed martial arts one because I could really connect with like the girls that were there and the parents. I like knew what was going on in the martial arts realm. Yeah. Bria should have had you at the softball one because I was like, I don't know anything. I was like, girls are coming. I'm like, how's the game going? Like, I was like, I have not played. That was the one sport I did not do. To you, literally. And I'm like, we got sweatshirts. Like I don't know. Like I was like, I need to find things I can like really talk at.
Yeah. For sure.
But yeah, I feel like that one will be really fun. I'm excited for that. It'll be 3 days. And then I have like an adaptive surfing one in Oceanside that's 3 days. That'll be cool. And then I have a pickleball event, which will be really cool.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah, so I'm excited. So there's like gonna be like some cool ones. So I'm curious to see like each one I go into. I have zero expectations. I'm like, if someone just looks at the clothing, I'm happy. Like I'm like,
even just like spreading the word about the business is huge.
Yeah, and like if I can hand out some stickers, I'm happy. Like anything else is just a bonus. So I'm like excited to see how those ones go. But those are what's coming up. So
Yay.
Oh my gosh, we're so excited for you and so happy this is going so well. Again, like no doubt in our minds, and we were so excited to have you on as like our first guest. It was like
literally
no question about it.
I feel so honored.
Yeah.
I was like, absolutely.
I feel so honored.
Like literally, like it's so important to have the friendships that we all have, because like those are so important. You don't always find friendships that like support one another in the ways that we all do, and I think it's so special.
Absolutely.
We love you.
We love you guys.
And
Like,
to our
Lulu
listeners,
hours.
please go support Sydney and YGIG, and you got it, girl.
You got it, girl.
You got it, girl. You got it, girl.